While I am at it, I thought I would share another outlandish story about my mother and her son. One of the stories that she, um, or he told her, she tried to get me to believe. So, back around 2015 in the fall, or 2016, I'm not sure, but I do remember it was in the fall around October, and she called me while I was on my way somewhere. I had to be at a certain time. If for her to just call just to chat was unusual because she knew that I didn't usually have a whole lot to say except for, tell her what my kids are doing. But anyway, I asked her. She was just talking and just, you know, senseless stuff. And I finally asked her, um, so what's up? And she, tried to tell me about her son and his new broad and, my niece and all that stuff. And I said, did he get a girl pregnant again? And she's like, no. And I said, okay. And she's just talking, and she always like give me updates about her son, which I didn't care. She knew I didn't care. She tried to push me to be close to him for so long. She just couldn't understand why I had boundaries with everyone. But anyway, she kept on, and I asked again, did he get a girl pregnant? Oh, no, it's nothing like that. And I was getting close to my destination, and she kept talking, and I asked her again, because she kept talking about her son and his new broad. I said, did he get somebody pregnant again? And she said, no. And then I got just very close to where I needed to be, and I told her, I said, I'm gonna have to hang up soon because I had rehearsal and I need to go inside. And then she said, oh, by the way, you're going to be an aunt again. And I was like, oh, okay. I kept asking you, did he get a girl pregnant? And you kept saying no. She said, well, the baby is due in January. It's October. And I was like, oh, okay. Do they know what it is? She said, oh, it's going to be a boy. And I was like, well, I think it's time for him to get the snip snip because he just can't seem to, keep things to himself, if you get my drift. But anyway, then a few weeks later, she calls to tell me that the doctors made a mistake on the due date. And I was like, oh, when is the new due date? It's February something. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, maybe a couple weeks mistake. I can understand that. Well, then she calls me again a few weeks later and says that this woman has gone to a different doctor because they got her due date wrong again. And I was like, well, when is she due now? This time it was like April. I was like, mother, there is no baby. I said, there's no doctor that will make a mistake like that with a due date. She says, oh no, I saw the picture of the ultrasound. And my mother just wanted so badly to believe her son's stories. And, she just would lie to me to protect her son. I tried to make her face reality, but I let her live her dream. But anyway, fast forward to that summer. It was June. I saw her when I drove me and the kids down to Florida, and she had my youngest niece down there. She had gone to another state where they lived at the time and brought her back down to Florida for a visit. And that was the first time that I had met this niece, and she was almost 8 at the time. And so when she flew back to take my niece back home, I told mother that I wanted a picture of this woman who is supposedly pregnant still, when her original due date was January, and now here it is June. And she said, I'll see what I can do. So then when she flew back home, I picked her up at the airport, and her demeanor was different. And I tried to get her to talk about this supposed baby. And I tried to tell her that there was no baby, that there is no doctor who will make a mistake like that when they do date. She says, oh, no, she's pregnant, she has the belly. And she said, while I was down there, the kids all went to, because this broad had 4 kids of her own, all the kids went to her ultrasound appointment, and they're all excited. They got to see the baby. Did you go to the ultrasound appointment? Oh, no, I stayed back at their house. My poor mother. So anyway, fast forward to August. She calls me and she says, well, they had the baby, but he didn't make it. And I said, Mother, there was no baby. She says, yes, there was. She said, I'm not going to say his name, but I'll say his initial, but K said that, the baby didn't look like a real baby. It was all deformed and everything. And so I told her that I don't care how ugly the baby might look. I wanted a picture of the baby, and I wanted a picture of the birth certificate and the death certificate, because with a pregnancy that long, there is going to be a birth and death certificate. Okay, well, I'll see what I can do. She never texted it to me. And then I found out later, because my daughter actually saw evidence that my mother sent them all kinds of baby stuff, sent them money for the baby, even sent the broad a beautiful bracelet in memory of this baby that died. The baby had a name, and I was like, well, where's it buried? And does it have a gravestone? There is no evidence whatsoever of this baby ever being born and dying. There is no death certificate. So anyway, my mother will go to great lengths to protect and believe her son, because he doesn't do wrong. Everybody's out to get him. So anyway, that is just another outlandish story that my mother tried to get me to believe, and it is definitely not true.